What if I told you that every word you've ever spoken has been quietly programming your reality? What if the reason your life looks the way it does right now isn't because of what happened to you, but because of what you've been declaring about yourself in the silence? You were never meant to beg the universe for scraps. You were never meant to whisper affirmations like prayers to a distant god. You were born with the same creative force that carved galaxies into existence. The same voice that once declared, "Let there be light," now speaks through you. But here's what they don't want you to know. You've been using this power backwards. You've been declaring your limitations instead of your liberation. You've been commanding your fears instead of your freedom. And the universe, being the perfect mirror it is, has been faithfully delivering exactly what you've been ordering. Every time you say "I am," you are not describing your life. You are directing it. This is not positive thinking. This is positional identity. This is about stepping back into the authorship you abandoned the day you started believing other people's stories about who you were supposed to be. Before the world was shaped by hands, it was shaped by voice. Before creation took form, a declaration was made, "Let there be." And there was. In the beginning was the Word, not a sound, but a force. Not a phrase, but a frequency, a vibration so pure that it carved galaxies into the void. And that same creative force now lives within you. Every time you say "I am," you are instructing your cells, your brain, your spirit, and the quantum field around you to shape themselves into the image of your words. This is the power that moved mountains in Scripture, the principle behind miracles, the voice that made worlds and still does. I need you to understand something that will shatter everything you think you know about creating change in your life. There is a moment before creation, a pause before the visible. And in that pause, a voice rises, not from your throat, but from your identity. From a knowing so deep it needs no proof, no permission, no validation from the outside world. It simply declares, "This is who I am." And reality has no choice but to respond. You think you were born into stillness. You were born into sound, heartbeat, cry, breath, word. Creation doesn't begin with effort. It begins with frequency, with the courage to speak your truth before the world agrees with it. Every reality begins with a word. In Genesis, the Creator doesn't build with hands. He says, "Let there be," and light obeys. Physics now tells us the same truth. All matter arises from energy, and energy responds to observation and vibration. So when you say "I am ready," "I am whole," it is done. You're not hoping. You're instructing. You're not becoming. You're revealing. Here's the science they don't teach you in school. Your brain is not a passive organ waiting for life to happen to it. It is an architect, constantly building your reality according to the blueprints you give it through your words. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. Your brain wires itself according to repeated thoughts, declarations, and beliefs. Every time you say "I am," you lay down a new layer of identity in your nervous system. Say "I am overwhelmed," and the stress circuits deepen. Say "I am learning," and curiosity pathways awaken. Say "I am capable," and your prefrontal cortex begins mapping new behavior. The body doesn't wait for proof. It responds to instruction. In 2014, stroke patients who repeated empowering identity statements like "I am healing," "I am getting stronger," showed faster neurological recovery than those who simply focused on physical tasks. Their inner language restructured their outer healing, not because the words had magic, because identity shapes biology. But here's where most people get it wrong. You've been declaring all your life. Every day you're already saying, "I'm tired, I never figure things out. This always happens to me." And your subconscious takes it literally. It doesn't question, it doesn't analyze. It simply says, "Got it. You are that. I'll make sure reality reflects it." So the loop begins. A phrase becomes a feeling becomes a filter becomes a world. You think you're describing life, but you're actually designing it. They told you to work harder, hustle, grind, prove yourself worthy. But what they never told you is that reality doesn't respond to effort. It responds to identity in motion. You are not here to earn your future. You are here to declare it. And there is an ancient law backing that declaration, one that operates whether you know it or not. Neville Goddard called it the law of assumption. Modern science calls it neuroplasticity. The mystics called it divine law. But you already know it intuitively. You feel it in your bones when you speak from truth. You feel it when you say I can, and something stirs. You feel it when you say I am, and the universe leans in to respond. What does this mean in the language of modern mind and matter? It means that what you believe to be true about yourself begins to train your nervous system, your perception, and your body to mirror that identity. Your reticular activating system, the brain's filter for attention, looks for proof of your inner assumptions. Say I am unlucky, and the RAS finds every reason to agree. Say I am favored, and the field begins to echo that frequency. You're not observing reality. You're filtering it according to your declarations. A young girl in a disadvantaged school system struggled for years until one teacher told her, "You're a genius. You just haven't been taught like one." That simple declaration, spoken daily, "I am a genius. I just learned differently," rewired her identity. Her test scores improved. But more than that, her self-perception shifted. Today she's an educator herself, helping other kids do the same. What changed? Her belief, her biology, her future, all from a new I am. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You've been performing, not aligning. You repeat, "I am confident," while your voice shakes with doubt. You say, "I am abundant," while your body tenses with fear. The subconscious doesn't listen to your words, it listens to your vibration, to coherence, not cleverness. That's why declarations without feeling are flat. But declarations fused with elevated emotion trigger neurochemical cascades that literally alter your biology. Dr. Joe Dispenza puts it this way: when thought and feeling become one, you move from hope into reality creation. When you declare "I am abundant" and actually feel abundant, you release dopamine, the motivational neurotransmitter. When you say "I am at peace" from genuine stillness, you stimulate oxytocin, calming your nervous system. You're not just affirming, you're literally changing the chemical signature of your state. This is why your life changes not when you do more, but when you speak from who you've become. The universe doesn't need convincing. You don't have to argue with the field. You only have to declare clearly from the inside out. I am already what I seek. I am walking as the version who has it. It is done, not because I forced it, but because I aligned with it. Your voice is not small. It is not mere sound. It is structure. What you speak into the unseen becomes architecture, a scaffold of possibility that the physical world begins to build around. Words are not just air. They are instruction. Each time you speak with conviction, you emit a frequency, and frequency, as both mystics and physicists know, shapes matter. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, is more than scripture. It's science written in sacred language, because in the beginning of any reality, a business, a relationship, a healing, there is always a word, not just spoken aloud, but whispered internally with enough belief to command the field. The quantum field doesn't hear English. It hears coherence. It doesn't wait for results. It responds to vibration. In 1967, Swiss scientist Hans Jenny conducted experiments that stunned the scientific world. Using sound vibrations directed at sand, he watched invisible tones create intricate geometric patterns. The higher the coherence of the tone, the more beautiful and complex the pattern. You are no different. Your internal tone, the energy behind your words, determines what kind of pattern your life forms. Anger scrambles the geometry. Worry distorts it. But declaration spoken from stillness, from power, creates sacred symmetry in your field. Dr. Candace Pert, neuroscientist and pharmacologist, discovered what she called the molecules of emotion. She found that peptides, chemical messengers, triggered by thought and speech, bind to receptors on every cell in your body. In simple terms, what you say, your body hears. Every I am becomes a signal that instructs your biology. Say I am overwhelmed, and cortisol floods your system. say I am grounded, and parasympathetic signals begin to calm your heart rate. This is not symbolic. This is biochemical manifestation. You are not just thinking. You are programming. You are not just talking. You are transmitting. In quantum physics, particles exist in a cloud of probabilities until observed. This is called the wave function. It means that at every moment, infinite versions of your life exist, each one waiting to be selected. So what selects it? Conscious observation fused with intention. When you say, I am this, you collapse potential into particular. You shift from all that could be into, this is what I've chosen. Your words are the selector switch in a field of infinite outcomes. Consider Anita Moorjani, diagnosed with end-stage lymphoma, tumors throughout her body, organs shutting down. Doctors declared the end, but she declared something else, not with logic, but with identity. I am not here to die. I am here to live. She entered a near-death experience where she felt herself as wholeness, not illness. Upon returning, her body began healing rapidly. Within weeks of this declaration, backed by complete inner alignment, her scans shocked her doctors. No trace of cancer remained. Skeptics call it impossible. But her declaration, backed by full coherence of mind, emotion, and soul, became her reality. What you declare, you animate. Declare I am love, and your nervous system begins to soften. Your energy field becomes magnetic. Declare I am abundance, and your perception starts scanning for opportunity. Synchronicity sharpens. Declare I am peace, and the chaos around you starts to lose its grip. You are not waiting for reality to show up so you can name it. You are naming it so it shows up. This is how you shape matter. This is how you bend time, not with effort, but with energetic authorship. Here's where most people fail. They speak powerfully, then walk timidly. They declare abundance and act from fear. They affirm love but move from wounds. The field grows confused. The signal splits. Nothing changes. Declaration is the first step. Embodiment is the second. It is not enough to declare. You must become what you've spoken. Words are seeds, powerful. Yes, but a seed does nothing unless it is watered, nurtured, lived. To become the word you speak is to make your identity louder than your past, louder than your habits, louder than your habits, louder than your history. In psychology, there's a simple truth. You will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. This is called self-concept congruence. It means your behavior, whether successful or self-sabotaging, mirrors your internal identity more than your external intention. You can want change. You can declare change. But until you become the person who lives in that new world, the old self pulls you back. This is not resistance. It's programming, and it can be rewritten. Research on addiction recovery found a striking difference. When offered a cigarette, those who said, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit," had high relapse rates. But those who said, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker," who shifted identity, not just behavior, rarely relapsed. They weren't performing willpower. They were embodying a new version of themselves, because the subconscious doesn't sustain what isn't aligned. Here's where most manifestation practices stop. I am successful. I am loved. I am confident. Beautiful words. But what do your feet say? What does your posture declare? How do your choices speak? Embodiment is not performance. It's not pretending to be something you're not. It's allowing yourself to live as the version you've already declared. Each morning, ask yourself, if I truly believed my declaration, how would I move today? How would I walk if I believed I was magnetic? How would I respond to conflict if I knew I was already safe? What would I say yes or no to if I knew I was already supported? This isn't acting. This is returning to a truer self hidden beneath conditioning. Every action that matches your new identity strengthens neural pathways. This is Hebbian learning. Neurons that fire together wire together. Declare I am confident and speak up in the meeting. Your brain logs that as proof. Do it again and the network deepens. Do it daily and it becomes your default. Soon the old identity begins to dissolve. Not through force but through starvation. You've stopped feeding it. Your brain is equipped with mirror neurons, cells that fire both when you act and when you imagine yourself acting. This means when you visualize yourself walking as the new version, your brain responds as if it's already happening. So when you say, I am abundant, and close your eyes to feel the reality of that abundance, you are not fantasizing. You are training your neurology. The body begins to behave like abundance is real, and then reality follows suit. In a longitudinal study on goal setting, participants were asked to write down their ideal future selves. One group wrote once. The other group lived as that version daily, walking, dressing, making choices like their future self already existed. 12 months later, the second group had significantly higher measurable success in income, health, and happiness. Why? Because they weren't trying to get there. They were being there. Your body doesn't care if it's memory or imagination. It becomes whatever you rehearse with feeling. There is a space between the word and the world. It's where most people lose the miracle. You said it, you meant it, you felt it. I am healed, I am abundant, I am ready, and then nothing, no signs, no evidence, just silence. This is the space where dreams die, not because the law failed, but because the voice wavered. But the gap is not punishment. This is not delay, but integration, because every declaration is a seed, and every seed, no matter how divine, needs time to take root. In every mystical tradition, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, Buddhism, there is reverence for the void, that sacred in between, the formless, the field before the form. Creation is not instant, it is gestational. The same applies to your spoken reality. When you say I am, you activate the field. But when you wait in stillness, you allow that field to organize itself around your identity. In neuroscience, change isn't visible the moment it begins. Neural rewiring often happens below conscious awareness. In one UCLA study on habit change, participants showed increased neural activity weeks before they felt their behavior shift. They hadn't noticed anything working, but deep beneath the surface, their brain had already begun its transformation. This is the unseen miracle. Silence does not mean absence. Stillness does not mean stuck. It means integration is underway. The moment doubt creeps in, panic sets in. They redeclare from fear. They push. They try to fix what's already in motion. But this tells the subconscious, I don't believe what I just said. We are not safe to receive. The identity resets. The timeline shifts. The process pauses. Not because it failed, but because you interrupted the signal. Trust is not just spiritual. It's neurological regulation. When you trust your declaration, your nervous system relaxes. Cortisol drops. The parasympathetic system activates, signaling safety. In this state, you become more receptive, more intuitive, more available. The more you hold the vibration of certainty, the more coherent your electromagnetic field becomes, and the more precisely the universe mirrors it. You may believe your declarations are only sound, but beneath every affirmation, your body is listening, not metaphorically, biologically. The nervous system records your tone. Your hormones adjust to your language. Your immune system follows your beliefs. Because every I am is not just a thought, it is a chemical command. Your words don't live in the air. They live in your blood, in your muscle memory, in your breath. This is why identity is more than mental repetition. It is a full body signal, a living vibration. When you say, I am afraid, your brain doesn't evaluate whether it's true. It floods your body with cortisol, the stress hormone. Heart rate increases. Breathing becomes shallow. Muscles tighten in anticipation of danger, even if no danger exists. Now say, I am safe, and your body begins to reverse the process. Oxytocin releases. The parasympathetic nervous system activates, initiating rest and restoration. The immune system strengthens. The mind clears. The difference wasn't a change in environment. It was a change in self-declaration. Dr. Candace Pert, pioneer of psychoneuroimmunology, discovered that emotions are not in your head. They are in your entire body. Your cells have receptors that absorb emotional peptides, chemical messengers released with every thought and spoken word. That means your body is responding to your I am statements. Before you're even fully conscious of what you said, you declare I am anxious. Your body obeys, tightening, restricting, reacting. You declare I am grounded. Your body opens. Even if your mind doesn't fully believe it yet, the chemistry begins shifting, and over time, that shift becomes your baseline. Your nervous system doesn't just listen to your words. It watches your posture. It feels your breath. It scans your tone. Say, I am confident with slumped shoulders, downcast eyes, and tight breath. Your body senses the contradiction and rejects the command. But say it while standing tall, breathing deeply, making eye contact. Your physiology receives it as truth. You are always broadcasting a frequency. Your body's role is not to argue with you. Its role is to amplify what you declare. So the question becomes, what are you asking it to repeat? There is a moment when you no longer speak to convince. You no longer declare to get. You no longer affirm to attract. You speak because it is who you are. You live because it is already done. This is the frequency of and so it is. Not a wish, not a performance, but sacred surrender to the truth you've chosen and the self you've become. Most people speak from desire. I want more money. I want love. I want freedom. But their energy says, I'm not there yet. I hope this works. I need this to complete me. This creates a vibrational gap, a mismatch between the frequency of desire and the identity of fulfillment. Wanting says maybe one day, being says I already am. The universe doesn't respond to wanting. It responds to vibrational certainty. Olympic athletes don't win gold because they train harder. They win because they train as the version of themselves who's already won. They don't say I hope to win. They say I am a champion. And I'm here to meet the moment. This is pre-living the result, not pretending, but rehearsing truth until it becomes embodied knowing. You must do the same. Declare it, feel it, walk in it before the world catches up. And when it does, it won't feel like a surprise. It will feel like recognition. Alreadiness is a vibration. It's not arrogance. It's not delusion. It's resonance. When you carry yourself like someone who is already free, doors open, not because you forced them, but because you aligned with the version of you that was always holding the key. You don't attract what you chase. You attract what you normalize. So make your future identity feel normal now. Speak as them, decide as them, move as them, and you'll collapse the timeline between vision and reality. Lao Tzu said, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. This is the vibration of and so it is. It does not push. It does not plead. It simply unfolds. The seed does not strain to become the tree. It trusts the process written in its DNA. You are the same. The declaration is your seed. The embodiment is your watering. The stillness is your sunlight. And then, inevitably, the result emerges. You don't need to beg. You don't need to prove. You don't need to obsess over how or when. Your only job is to live the frequency you once longed for, as if it's already yours, because it is. The universe does not answer your wishes. It answers your identity. You began this journey with words, but it ends not with more doing, but with being. You've remembered that your voice is more than sound. It's structure. Your thoughts are more than private noise. They are invitations. Your I am is not a hope. It's a blueprint, a signal to the quantum field, a command to your biology, and a return to your divine authorship. Now you know, you were never trying to become. You were only trying to remember. Remember the one who was always whole, who never needed fixing, only alignment, who didn't have to chase, only declare, and whose word, when spoken in truth, is already done. Let there be was never followed by doubt. It was followed by light. So speak and rest, affirm and walk, declare and become. Not because you're trying to convince the world, but because you finally convinced yourself. This is your life now, a quiet knowing, a powerful stillness, a voice that no longer begs, but creates.